What's up, everybody? Welcome back. As promised, I'm going to do an update video, show you the progress of where I'm at. The last video was more or less why there was a delay on videos and just some common questions I get. If you want to refer back to that video, hopefully maybe I might have answered some questions that I get. But this video specifically is going to be on the car itself, the motor, and where we're going from there. So here we go. All right, so a quick recap for all you new folks out here. What I've got here is this is a 2000 Camaro that I've swapped the 2.8 LWN Duramax in here. Swapped is like, it's in there, but it's nowhere near complete. But basically, I've got the motor in there. As you can see, there's a transmission in there. It's T56. For those of you that don't know a whole lot about the car, basically this is like I said, it's a 2000 Camaro. The shell of the car is pretty much the only stock component left on here. All the suspension and everything is different. It's all racecraft suspension. It's a manual steering rack. Even like the tubular control arms and stuff like that. The wheels. I got strange brakes on it. Spindle mount, wheels, everything. There's no lug nuts there. The rear suspension, same. It's all racecraft stuff. It's a 9-inch full floater with the weld wheels and everything. So there's got a cage in it. So as you can kind of see, there's a cage in the car. I got some interior bits that I still need to put in. I got the carpet. Still need to put in as well. But basically, race car stuff, but the car is going to be set up to go way faster than what this motor is going to be capable of pushing it. So, which I like that the motor is not going to be held back by the chassis, if that makes sense. The car is going to be capable of going way faster than what this motor is going to be able to push. So anyway, long story, like I said, got the motor in here, fabbed up some motor mounts on each side. I just got some generic motor mounts. I didn't use the stock mounts at all. Just made some brackets. Had a 3/16 steel, put a couple bolts in there, yada yada, so on and so forth. Welded it all up. This one on this side I had to redo. As you see, it's painted black because I ran out of primer, but the oil cooler kind of ran into where it was going there, so I had to jog it around, but it fits in there. I just didn't have the oil cooler and filter mounted to the block when I made the motor mount, so that's my bad. But little things like that just set me back. Like, it takes a lot of time to make something like that, especially with the tools I got. I'm not a professional fab shop here. I have the capability of making these parts, but to do it on with the tools that I have is, it's difficult. But anyway, yeah, motor's in there, and then like I said, transmission. It's a stick shift. It's T56. It is a dog box. It's got the G-force gear set. I don't have a shifter in there, but this was originally an automatic car. That's why that looks like that. But I have a neoprene or fireproof boot, shift boot to go around it and everything. But as you can see, this motor is like a drop in a bucket in this chassis. This thing was originally had a V8 in there. So sorry these shots are all like close up. My garage is tiny in here, so I don't have a whole lot of room to work with as far as filming. But I got the hood mounted, all the Zeus rails, as you can see. I got the Zeus's there, all mounted up so I can bring it here. I put two up in the windshield. This windshield isn't glass. This is it's an optic armor windshield, front and rear. The hatch is one as well. So I was able to cut this out because this isn't glass. It's just polycarbonate is what they call it. It's like Lexan, but I cut it out so I can put a couple Zeus's on the top here to keep the hood from slamming into the windshield and scratching it and whatnot. But this is where I'm at so far. There's no bottom end, there's no crankshaft obviously in here, no pistons, rods, or anything like that. I've got all those in a tote that's ready to go in. The cylinder head. So there's a lot of work done to the cylinder head. If you want to go back a couple videos, you can see how far I've gotten on it. I will tell you that pretty much the last video I did, I was trying to get the valves, swap some valves in their correct spot, or figure out options, basically, is what I was trying to do. So from there, I tried the Jeep valves, and I will tell you that the 2.8 diesel that goes in the Jeep is very similar to this motor, but the cylinder head is not the same. Those valves, I tried to make them work. I really tried to make them work, but they do not fit. So basically what happened was the valve tip, the overall length of the valve in the Jeep motor is longer. So you have to reduce the length of the valve because it'll run into the cam. Basically, it runs into the rocker, but it would hold the valve open because the valve is too long. So you have to shorten the valve. And I tried to tip the valve to cut the end of the tip off, because the problem with the Jeep valve is the keeper grooves on the Jeep valve are not in the same spot as the Duramax valve. So ended up, you can't shorten the valve enough to make it work. So because what happens is I ended up cutting like 50 thousandths off the top of the valve, and it was still too long. So because what happened was the way the rocker was sitting on there, it ended up, I cut so much off the valve that it ended up not touching the tip of the valve anymore. It started contacting the retainer, the valve spring retainer instead. So you can't tip the valve enough before you run into the retainer. And I tried to find, they make some keepers, they make like a 50 thousandths offset where you can lower the valve retainer 50 thousandths, so you can make room for stuff like that. But with the 3-groove keepers that they use in these, they don't make a 50 thousandths offset, or at least I couldn't find one. So I was kind of screwed. So I got some different valves. I'm going to show you the cylinder head. I'm going to do an update on the cylinder head. I'll make another video on that later on down the road. But stay tuned for that. Right now, it's just basically a bare head. There's no valves in it or anything like that. I just put it on there so I can mock up the motor in the chassis, and that way I can move and get the motor and the car and everything down here in one piece. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, so future, now that I got this motor mount fixed, because my plan was, as you can see, I got a flange on here for an exhaust manifold. My next step is I'm going to build a turbo manifold. So I'm not using the factory manifold. I built this flange like a year ago or whatever and stopped because I wasn't at this point yet. So it's just like, it's like a 3/8 thick piece of stainless. It's 304 stainless. I drilled all these holes in it and made the, I'm probably going to cut this back portion off here where the EGR goes from stock. I'm probably just going to cut this off and, you know, block it off or whatever, but just so I don't have this piece hanging over. I did drill the holes, but it's not going to be used. So anyway, but I needed to mount this oil cooler on here so I can get my piping and everything, make sure I don't run into it. And then I found out I was hitting the motor mount, and long story, had to fix that. So yeah, my next step is to build the turbo kit or turbo manifold. So what I'm going to probably do is just put it right here. I got some cool parts for that. Hang on, just let me show you this turbo. I'll just go show you the turbo that I'm going to use. Alright, so basically what I got here, I got one with the Borg Warner. This is a S200. This is the 57 mil Borg Warner turbo. I went with this turbo specifically because there are nicer turbos out there that'll fit this motor, but the price range of this one, I got this one with the exhaust housing, total was like $700. So yeah, I got it on sale and everything, so I got a good deal on it. But like I said, there are other turbos out there that are a little bit nicer, but I don't know if this motor is going to handle this much power, so I didn't want to spend, you know, $2,500 on a turbo if it's going to blow up the motor anyway. So this one is a little more cost effective. Not saying that this isn't a nice turbo by any means, because this is nice, but yeah, this is the turbo I'm going to run. Like I said, it's a 57 mil. The stock turbo on these is like a 37 mil or something like that. So I did go with the twin scroll housing because this is a big turbo for this motor. So I went with the twin scroll to try to help it spool. I am worried about this turbo being able to spool. So we'll see how it goes. This is going to be like a race setup with no emissions and all that stuff. So I can get away with little EGT and maybe trying to keep the smoke out of it, but we'll see. I got some other stuff down the line that might work with that. I got this, or might help with that. I got this flange here to help support the weight, and to help spool this thing, I've got this piece, this really special piece. It's pretty neat. I haven't seen anybody use it, especially in a diesel application, but this is going to be my collector. Crazy looking thing, I know. This is what's called a quick spool valve. This is from Elmer Racing. Basically what it is, it's a 38 mil wastegate that they use to cut the housing in half. So all of your exhaust energy, when you're trying to spool, all your exhaust energy is going to be fed into one of the scrolls instead of both of them. So not only is it a twin scroll housing, it should spool faster, but I'm going to be feeding all of my exhaust energy into one of the scrolls, which effectively cuts your AR in half. This is an 083 housing, by the way. I don't know if it says it on here somewhere. Maybe it doesn't, but yeah, it's an 083 housing. So it's the small housing to begin with, and then if I cut it in half, you know, that's what a 41 or 41 and a half AR, which is super tiny. Hopefully I can get this thing lit with this, and then basically you just run boost into this, or into the bottom here, and then as you get on boost, it'll open up the wastegate valve, which you can see kind of down in there. It'll open up the valve, and then open up the other scroll. He says that this is good up to like 1,000 horsepower. Like, it's not really a restriction until you hit like 1,000 horsepower mark, and I'm not going to hit 1,000 horsepower in this car, so, or not with this motor anyway. But yeah, so super cool piece. It's all stainless, 304 stainless billet goodness. It's got a wastegate port on here as well, so I can add my wastegate on there. I will be running a wastegate on this, which is also a really cool piece. I will pull that out real quick. Give me 1 second. Alright, so for those of you that know what this is, I think it needs no introduction, but for those of you that don't know, this is going to be my wastegate. This is a TurboSmart. I got the CompGate 40. This is an electronic wastegate, so my ECU is going to be running this. There's no boost that goes to this. It's all literally ran by the computer, just a couple wires, hook it up, set up the table, and then this will go here-ish somehow. Got to weld the flange on there and everything. Have to build the manifold. But yeah, so pretty cool piece. Should be basically unlimited boost control. My options are, you know, I'm not running boost or, you know, CO2 or anything to this, so I don't have to wait for any of that. Basically the computer just commands whatever boost target you're running, and it will open and close this wastegate accordingly to set up whatever your boost control is. So I think with this setup, like I said, this is a big turbo for this motor. It's not terribly huge. I know there are some companies out there that sell compound twin turbo kits for this motor, and they use this turbo as the atmosphere turbo, as the big turbo. And they use the stock turbo on the manifold as your small charger. But this is the one that they use. So I'm going to try to spool this without the small charger. And I think with this quick spool valve from Elmer Racing that has a TurboSmart gate on there to divide the twin scroll housing on top of that with the 083 housing, and then this wastegate to control it, I think it should be all right. We'll see how it goes. This might be way too big. I don't know. But like I said, there are other turbochargers on the market that might spool better than this one. But like I said, they're like $2,500, like $2,000 for that turbo. And I'm not so sure that this turbo isn't probably gonna, or the amount of power that I make isn't gonna blow this thing up anyway. And I'm not trying to dump much money into a turbo, even though like each one of these is a pretty penny. You know, all this is, there's some money that's sitting there to make this work. But anywho, as far as the manifold and the piping, I'm using Schedule 40 stainless, 304 stainless, and and then I'm probably going to do my dump, just come up the hood or something like that. I've seen a lot of guys go out the side of the fender here, but you have to like cut out. Can't really see because if I can turn this on here. Come on, light. Well, it's not gonna turn on. Oh, there it goes. So you have to like cut out like a lot of stuff to make that fit down in there, because you can see like the tires right there, and you got to cut the floor out and to make it exit there. It's just a lot of stuff in the way. And then so I'm probably just going to come out, put the turbo here, and then come out the hood right here in front of the passenger window, so if you got anybody riding shotgun, it's going to be blowing right in their face. But anyway, yeah, and then the turbo will be facing forward, and I can do whatever I want up here. Probably going to run an intercooler up here somewhere. A lot of room for activities right here. As you can see, a large gaping hole. Obviously I have to put a radiator in here. I've got it sitting right there. It's ready to go. So I just need to come out here and spend time fabbing stuff up, making it work. So I did get all the bracing and everything behind the front bumper done, because I took all that stuff out, because this is a tube front. This tube front end is from Rock Solid Motorsports, and then I tied my cage into it on both sides here. So both of these bars go through the dash into the A-pillar bars. So you can't really see it because it's behind the dash, but yeah, anywho, trying to make this video short, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Anything from me. Hopefully I can get busy working on this turbo kit sometime soon, real soon. Hopefully like today or tomorrow. I can get started on it and try to make some progress, at least get it fabbed up, and then start working on welding it up and getting it going from there. But I'll keep you guys updated. We'll see how long I start school. I'm going back to school, so I start it next week on the 16th. So we'll see how that plays out and how much time that's going to affect me out here. But as of right now, this is the weekend before school starts, so I'm trying to get some stuff done, if that makes sense. But anywho, if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching.